Hey, welcome to the Full 42. A bunch of geeks talking about geek stuff. Mike is going to jump into the camera soon here, and Katia unfortunately isn't available today. So, but we have Keith Ward here. Wrong banner. Just gonna say hi to Keith and talk to Keith a little bit before Mike reappears. And Keith, why don't you say hi? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, so Mike was here, but then I just decided to hijack your whole show, and I got rid of everybody but you, and I'm going to come for you by the end, and then it's just going to be Keith.
Oh.
Just the show's just going to be Keith.
And I thought you were saying you and me, and then you already told me your evil plan before you finished it. That's
well, it's the beginning of Act 1, and I like to be super transparent.
I see.
Oh, dude, thanks so much for having me. I'm Keith Ward, and I dabble in the industry, and I write, and I teach a couple of super weird classes. One of them in tabletop game design, and it's an unrealistic way to spend my time. You know what I mean? Like, really, when you just kind of take a step back and you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. I do this and people pay me. That's cool. I've been working on a bunch of projects, and this year looks like it's going to be a bunch of fun.
The full Keith. Yeah, that'd be a great show.
That's why I don't have one, because every time I try it, they're like, that name's too ugly. And they're right, Chris.
What'd be great is if you set up multiple cameras so that you could then talk to yourself and answer yourself. That'd be great. I'd watch that.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, I gotta take a nap just thinking about the amount of tech that just went into that statement.
So you teach a game design course. What ages and what do you focus? Is it board game focused or just game theory in general? Or
oh, right on. So Giuliano and I, man, I don't know. You know how COVID scrubbed your brain, and you're like, I can't remember if it was last week or 14 years ago. So at some point, Giuliano and I, he was showing me this Batman game that he did, and I wasn't much of a gamer at the time. And I was like, yo, this is incredible, the amount of academic lifting that happens.
That game right there.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like, I don't know what's happening, but that's the one. You nailed it. And anyway, so I was like, I just couldn't get over how much heavy lifting got done academically in something that was all dressed up like play. And so then we got to chatting about it and looking at some of the industry connections that he had and what felt possible. And so we wrote this metagame course. And so the minute you walk into the class, you're playing a game, and then the course itself is about designing for the tabletop space. So we teach everything from how to learn a rule book, how to have fun even when it feels irrationally anxiety inducing, right? I don't know if you're still this way, you're a seasoned dude, but for me, sometimes I open a rule book and I just think I've made a terrible decision. It's just so overwhelming to think that there's going to be sense made.
You mean you mean the experience of opening it or starting to write one? You mean when you're learning?
No, dude, I'm not even talking about writing one. That's its own hellscape, right? I'm just talking about reading a published one.
Really? Yeah.
That moment where you open this thing up and it's just, you're in my head, right? The last time I played a game before this thing with Mike was family games when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, right? So we spun a spinner, rolled some dice, things happened to us. We laughed, we got bored. And none of that stuff felt familiar. All these mechanisms were just so strange to me. And so, anyway, the course teaches kids how to play, teaches kids how to design. They'll do 40-minute design challenges where we'll teach a couple of mechanisms. They'll get assigned a theme and get 40 minutes to quick pitch a prototype. And then by the end of it, they end up writing fully functional, sell sheets, one sheets, pitch decks. And then they even get the chance to pitch it to some real industry folk at a couple of cool cons that are big around the nation. It's a pretty special thing, and it's fun to be a part of for sure.
I kind of want to take the class. Sounds fun.
I think you'd do okay.
I mean, anytime you give someone a challenge, if you get a bunch of designers sitting around a table, eventually someone's going to be like, hey, how would you design this? They give each other challenges just to think about and stuff. So it kind of sounds like something like that, only you get the chance to really put it together, right?
Oh yeah. And I think by making it a year-long study in kind of a whole bunch of tangential things that games do well.
Hmm.
But letting games be the primary text is really interesting too. Because then even when like, so traditionally my courses would be like literature courses, right? Like English courses in the States. And I think what's so fascinating about it is that even if we approach a text, like whether it's something that's like canonical and required or just like, oh, you get a free read, we literally approach everything that we do as IP. So everything we read, everything we watch, any poem, any nonfiction, it's all IP, IP, IP. Like, could you drape this? Could you make a mechanism that wraps this up? And that's how we think about everything. And that, and like we couple up real hard with that fail faster thing, you know, like, dude, if you're not failing like 2, 3, 4 times a day, like I don't even know why you got out of bed. Like start hitting the wall way harder. So we really like demystify failure too and encourage them like, no, dude, this is a great fail. Like, let's trash this whole thing. Let's take the thing that works and go jam on it. And it's cool. Like you watch people iterate, they move fast and they take feedback. And it's also like this, you know, this industry, man, it makes you become more elastic and agile or it eats you up. And I think teaching a 15 or 16-year-old how to be intellectually, academically, emotionally agile is the games do that better than almost anything I've ever bumped into.
Yeah, I think a lot of the removing your ego from the project you're on so that the project does well kind of thing is a great lesson to learn. And the people that can't get past those kind of things usually don't get far into the industry. And then, well, let me ask you, do you teach them to do it individually or do they work as co-designers on things? Or because those are two different approaches, right?
Yeah, dude, you're so right. And we do both.
Huh.
We do both. Like, so we talk a lot about group work. And I talk pretty candidly with students about this. Like I have really great friends in my life, right? Like people I love, like ride or die in everything. Do you know what I mean? Like if they called me right now, I'd be like, I got the shovel. Let's do this. They're my friends. I wouldn't work with any of them. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, I would not. I would not work with them. Those are not business partners, right? And I have great business partners, but some of them were not like all tight hanging out at the crib. Like that, sometimes that's just not the way it is. And so I encourage people when they're choosing partners, even in a classroom setting, don't think about who you want to socialize with. Think about who's going to give you the best shot at making a saleable product. And that, I think, changes the approach for a lot of students. And some of them are always going to, like, we all are attracted to like working with people who are also good friends. You know, like when you can find that unicorn, hard to let go of, right? But sometimes in class you're not afforded that option. So yeah, you got to make do. You got to pick partners that are going to benefit the project, not just the what's up. What's going to benefit, you know, your most overt social need in the moment. And that, dude, if that's true for 15 and 16, it's also true for, you know, you and me and this dude.
Hey, oh no, we gotta be quiet.
I want to go back to sleep.
We got another special guest.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Say hi.
Want to introduce your special guest?
Say hi. All right, what I missed. Hi everyone in the chat. I'm not.
You were just telling me all the dirt about you.
Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I needed.
You didn't come up and
a 16th the way through.
Of all my dirt?
No, layer 1. We're not even down to mantle and core.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just asking him about his class and kind of like, you know, what they get into and stuff like that. We were just talking about co-design and designing by yourself. Do you find students prefer one over the other generally, or just depends on their personality? Or
I think it depends on the experience they're designing in. You know, like sometimes I like designing all by myself, but other times you get the opportunity to work with someone who not just inspires the creative, but maybe even pushes the mechanical. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Like if you can find someone who can push you and inspire you, yeah, I want to work on that project. I don't even care what the project is. That's the person I want to work with. And I think some of them find that in their friend groups, or they find that in the space, or they don't find that, and then they choose you know, to carry the weight of designing alone and being in your own resonating chamber, where that's a hard echo to sometimes beat.
I think they're also lazy fuckers.
Oh yeah.
So I think the co-design at that level, when they don't all like math and they don't all like grammar, right? So if they can find someone in the classroom that outside the classroom, maybe they don't necessarily engage with, but inside the classroom, man, you can really bring my project up, or man, you got that mental math brain that can really balance out like ratio and probability and all that stuff. They can, we've seen it happen in the classroom where like that Venn diagram of people that stick to themselves outside of that room and just want to do good on the project or whatever, like it starts to overlap and get bigger when they realize everything in the class, we're all in the same classroom, we're all in the same thing, and they gravitate towards those people that can really help them out. So I think there are those that just want to stay to themselves, and you know, they've had the bad experience of group presentations, right, where they have somebody in the group that doesn't hold their weight and doesn't do their thing. So you know what, I got this. Like I'm gonna do my own thing. But majority of especially in that first year where it was just banging, there was such an overlap of groups that wanted to work together and really supported each other throughout the whole process. It was amazing.
Do you know what I really like about it too, Chris, is that there's this like John Hughes level trope in American high schools, right? That like amazing artsy kid who sits in the fringe, and maybe it's because she was put there, or maybe it's because she chose to be there. And I'm not John Hughes, right? So I don't know why she's there, but I watched that kid, all artsy and everything, get drafted up off the line so fast because she can hold a pencil, because she can take something that's like, that somebody else can't make artistic, but she has the capability to do that thing, and she swings it out of the park. And all of a sudden, like that kid who was marginalized for a hot minute all through middle school or whatever, now art is screaming and becomes like not just an outlet for their expression, but a form of appreciation from maybe even a former antagonizer. Like that, for me, that's why games, right? Yeah. Games is like, dude, if I invite you to my house to play a game, we're like 2 seconds from being best friends and everything. Right, like we've already said, like, hey, we're gonna trust each other and like, and try to screw each other a little bit. Like that's a huge admission by people. So for me, that's where I get super excited. Is you watch people become better versions of themselves as a result of like something that's really like feels like magic to them, or that pushes them in a way they didn't expect, and that's an exciting space.
We've talked about
how I was as a kid.
You invite people into a space and live in a fantasy 2 feet away from you that you don't know, right? That's why board gamers are the majority of them, right? They're shitbags in the community. But the majority of gamers are genuine and honest and inviting and friendly, because they invite you to be this far away for an extended period of, like I see it on Tuesday at Bullfinch. You have people that'll come to a table, like they're walking around. I don't know anybody, and I'm going to get called over to a table because I'm being invited into this space for a little while, and we get to play and eliminate the real for a while and just play in this fantasy world, regardless of the game, right? It could be a real game, or, you know, dragons and whatever.
Dude, but what you're saying is like, right, so this is where like, I think you and I just sort of sync up. Mm-hmm. Like the promise of community will make people do wild things, and schools don't build community. They actively separate people into racial hierarchies, into classist hierarchies, into gender hierarchies, into representational hierarchies. But play, we all just become lion cubs again, right? Like that's all. It is that simple and that exceptionally profound. Yeah.
I know my school wouldn't even let us wear gang colors.
No.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Texas.
No, I'm not kidding.
When I first hooked back up with Keith, and he found out,
terrible phrase.
Yes, well, you know, we had that separation for a while, and it was hot. It hurt. I missed you. But he found out that I had the Batman game, and we started talking. He's like, I got to play the Batman game, and we've talked about it on the show. But that conversation that ensued after we played Batman about curriculum and about education and about why not board games, it ended up, there you go. It ended up being one of the more life-changing moments for me in the past ever, to be able to play in that world for a while in his classroom and watch the kids do what I always wanted to do as an educator, and be able to play in this playground for a while and make it fun, right? And create this the wheel of no bueno and the board of bueno, or the board of no bueno, the wheel of bueno, and have these kids just buy into, like, as soon as you step, the time that I saw Keith dunk his head into water and have to pull out 3 slices of deli meat turkey, like, that was like, we've made it. Like, this is what it's about. It's about the teacher and the kids and everyone learning together, and not all the bullshit that I tried to fight with the bad experiences of going through school. We actually had this it was firing on all cylinders, and it was super all over, which really came from a board game experience, right? The whole thing came from an experience in board games, and then we elaborated it and created a curriculum around board games in education. Like, the whole thing has just been, it's been bonkers.
Okay, so you just threw out a bunch of things like no bueno, and bobbing for weird meat things and stuff. But before we get into whatever that weird story is, maybe we ought to cover our top 5. Or before we get into our top 5.
Oh, did you not do the thing yet?
No, we haven't.
We've been chilling.
Oh, dude,
we were talking about all kinds of stuff. First, before we get into any of that, some announcements. I don't know if you have any. Obviously, Katia is not here. We miss her a great deal.
Feel better.
I will not be here next episode, but you'll still be trucking along without me. The reason why I won't be is because Andromeda's Edge is coming to GameFound 31st. Please check us out. Yep. What else am I missing, Mike? You got some announcements we need to throw?
We're playing Andromeda's Edge on the show in a couple weeks too. Do you know the date?
Yeah, it's not this coming Monday. It's 2 weeks from now.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll be playing that on the show as well.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we announced, or we put up the Kickstarter coming soon page for Charcuterie. It's already north of 220. We put it up early Friday, I think. It's already north of 220 followers. So if you're in any of the Discords, or we'll put the link in the comments or whatever the hell that thing is. Yeah, Charcuterie is gonna be happening. It's pretty cool to see that start jumping already.
Yeah, if you want to follow that or Andromeda's, we'll put both of those links on there. Good point.
And Chris, I don't have any announcements.
No announcements at all? Nothing happening?
I mean, nothing.
We will.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow and we'll just take it from there. That's really going to be the...
That's fine. All right. Well, those are announcements. But next we have a lightning round, which I like to put everybody through, whether they like it or not. No, I'm kidding. So you've probably seen this on the episodes. I'm not sure or not, but and you've been here before. But now we do this whole tree thing where I share my screen. Eventually, there's a thing. They've changed it on me, so it's weird. Oh man, why'd they do this? Here we go. Okay.
I hate them.
I know. All right. So this is going to be, it's a tree structure, right? So you're going to answer a question, and then it's going to go along here. And at the bottom here, we're going to reveal, it's a very scientific thing. We're going to reveal the, fictional character that you are most like.
Is there a genre or subgenre to the fictional character, or could I end up like Oliver or Iron Man?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a good mix.
I'm super psyched.
Also,
sometimes I switch them out.
Whatever it does come up tonight, I will call him the entire time I'm in the classroom next. This will be who you are to me in the classroom next.
Excellent.
This game got slightly less fun.
If that's true, hold on. I'm going to need a minute to fix this.
Wait, Chris can just redirect all my answers into a perfect flow chart.
This will be perfect. This could go so well.
This is a fun church.
All right. So, first question, one we always ask: fantasy or sci-fi?
Oh, fantasy.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll all be that easy. Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
This is that easy. It's because it's Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Yeah, empirically.
Not sure I like how easy that was for you. What? Look behind me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I made a friend.
You thought always dance when you walk or sing when you talk?
No, I like when people dance when they walk. It always confuses me. Like, I really want to know why. I want to know how they felt any happiness, any at all, let alone enough to make a sidewalk feel cool. Damn it.
So we're gonna go down dance when you walk.
Sure, if that's what you say. This whole thing's rigged. I already know it.
No, he hasn't. Well, maybe he has.
Deck building or worker placement?
Yo, worker placement only because Mike told me I had to do a slideshow a few years back on worker placement. I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So he sent me a link to the Lores of Waterdeep. And I was like, I don't know what this means. Now I know. And I really like worker placement.
Great. Good ambassadoring there, Mike.
Thank you. I try.
Always wear a cowboy hat or a top hat.
Oh my God. What a crap binary, Chris.
How is this the one you're torn on?
This is where I'm offended. Yeah. Everything was fine right until now. I'm like, what even?
This is a gimme.
Man, I don't want to. I'll wear a top hat.
You're so happy about it. Dancing down the street in your top hat.
What character am I now? Be some weird Abe Lincoln zombie.
Role-playing game or escape room?
Oh my God. You described my two most intimidating realities. Escape room, but only because it does advertise that eventually it will end.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I know people love them.
Be able to speak to dogs or cats?
Oh, cats, because I'm pretty sure I know what dogs are thinking. Sniff your crotch, feed me, take a shit.
That's fair.
It's Kafka.
Detect any lie you hear or get away with any lie?
No, man, I can hear the lies. I want to get away with mine.
Yeah, education. You're probably pretty good at sniffing them out, right? Huge twirly mustache or long ZZ Top beard?
Oh. God, you pick such ugly images. I really like this game. I'm going to go with twirly mustache. I feel like I'm just a quarter ounce away from that level of hipster doofus anyway.
I was about to say, you could really go either way.
Oh, dude, I used to have like a big banger that was all the way down to here, but then that COVID hit and like, I don't know, trying to stuff your beard and like when it hangs out, the whole thing just felt filthy.
So we're going twirly mustache.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it went off the rails for you.
100%.
Person in the van or person getting shot at?
Oh, dude, that's really cool. Like at first I was like, I don't ever want to be a person in the van on account of like, who wants to be that?
Sure. Yeah. That's not.
But now that I think that the people in the van are doing the shooting,
yeah,
I want to be in the van. Let's drop some stitches, Chris.
You want to be in the van?
Yeah. Are the people in the van doing? It doesn't matter. I want to be in the van. I don't want to get shot at.
Oh,
it's going to tell me the truth.
This is it.
It's going to tell you.
Oh my God.
And you are most like Edna from The Incredibles.
Oh, Edna.
Oh, yeah, that's super true.
Okay, Edna.
Is that super true?
How accurate is Chris? Because I actually just got done making you a full body suit that will make your arms impossibly elastic.
Oh, nice. That's always the one power I wish I had.
If anyone on this stream can get on this test, you should do it. It's shockingly accurate. Lifted, nope.
Shockingly accurate. Yes, I'm going to take that part of the quote. Shockingly accurate is all I care about. ... Shockingly accurate.
That was fun.
I should have looked at. I just closed it. I should have looked to see what you would have been had you gone the opposite direction with shooting in the van. But I think I know what it was.
What do you think it was?
I think it was John McClane.
Oh man, how crazy that like one difference between great action hero of all time and strange little lady in an animated film.
No, super support. That's what she is. She's the supporting of the superheroes.
Also, it's all science.
Oh,
it works for education.
Yeah. No, I like neurobiology. This obviously worked.
All right. So now we have our top 5 games in the classroom, right? Yes. Which is what we advertised this, 25 minutes ago is what we said we were going to talk about.
Now we're here. We got there.
We get there eventually.
We get there. It happens. Right?
Yeah, there you go. The full Edna.
Oh, full Edna.
Is that like middle name? Should we just go as like...
Dude, if I took my face off right now, Edna. That's all that's there. just rip it clean. I'm just an animated stop-nose lady.
Glasses and all.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to talk about our top 5 class. How did you guys approach this one? Top 5 games in the classroom. I feel like
we did it totally different.
Really?
Yeah, I went with I thought of 5 subjects, and I thought of a game that would be used well and should be used well in the curriculum for that subject.
And I'm going to come at it a little bit more broadly and say that if you are an educator, or if you're advocating for play in education, here's some genre types why I think we shouldn't overlook, because of the power that they've created in like little micro examples, like just to breathe a little life back into, I don't know, some of the basics. Like, I think there's importance in some of that stuff. So I'll make my case for those as we kind of move through the set, but they'll be quick.
I think mine are all different based on, I had different reasons for pretty much all 5 of them. So we shall see.
Let's rip this thing.
Let's see. Who wants to go first? You want to go first, Mike?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right. I'm going to do the same thing where I share my screen. Once I figure out which screen I'm sharing, that one. And we'll look. This is our guild, by the way. Links in the description. Please join up if you haven't already on BGG.
It wasn't a real thing for 2. Oh, I guess I could have done this in announcements, but technically this is the end of our 2nd year doing this. We kind of talked about it a couple episodes ago. I know I wasn't here last week, but yeah, this is the officially the end of the 2nd year season. I don't know what you want to call it.
Oh, that's really
so
rad.
2 years ago, January 23rd, 24th.
Oh, wow.
Was the first time that Chris and I went live with the full 42.
Oh, congratulations, y'all. This is super exciting then.
Thank you.
I gotta figure out what I'm doing next year. First year was different Tiki Mug every show, and this year was different. I did repeat this one, but I figured it was more honoring the 2 years that we've been on the show. But yeah, this year was all different Game War jerseys.
I do like that.
That's pretty cool. All right, so I'll start again. Mine are not in order because I did 5 different subjects. These I guess could be the top of the subject, the game for the subject, but these are not. This is just I'm going to mention the subject. I'm going to mention the game, and I'll start from the top. So I'm going to go with history. So if you're in a history classroom, I would suggest playing Tapestry.
That's interesting.
So it's not a very complicated game, right? It's got hell of a runaway leader problem, and I understand that. But the idea of it being empires, right? And controlling the grounds in the center, but you have the different empires that you're trying to build, and you have a civilization that you're building. I know it's not, it gets shit on for not being a civilization game, but you have your civilization that you are, and they're really good at a certain thing. And then you're trying to play the game in order to get that civilization to be the best that it can be. And I think it's a really good connection when you're going through civilizations throughout history, and how they failed and how they succeeded in what they were trying to do as a collective. Do you want to sit on this side? Do you want to sit with Keith? No, you got no shot. You got no shot. Yeah, so I think Tapestry in a history classroom would be a really good game to get to the table.
These I actually looked at this game and I thought no, because it has basically like made up empires, right? But you're saying like you should look at this in a way of saying this empire is kind of like this empire is kind of like that.
Well, you can do it in multiple ways, right? Like what we did with our curriculum is we asked them to, even in a regular game like King of Tokyo, ask them to look for rhetorical devices, and you can find that stuff anywhere. So depending on what where you are in your curriculum in history, you can have the students break off into groups and find comparisons between this civilization and real civilizations, right? Like you can take whatever one you have on the screen there and divvy that off into a group of 2 or 3 and have them find similarities between what Jamie did with that civilization and civilizations that actually existed in throughout time. Now, obviously, this goes far into space and researching other planets and stuff, so you can kind of curtail where they're going to go with all of those things. But I think not only does it help with thinking about what real civilizations did to get to where they were, you can also branch off and try and find the similarities between the civilizations in the game and civilizations on the planet. That makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. Keith.
So I'm gonna kind of approach this a little bit differently, and I'm gonna say, if you're again looking to educate a person through play, definitely make sure you start somewhere with a dexterity game. I don't care if it's Rhino Hero or Flip Ship. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, do something that's dexterous, because for so many people, that we were talking earlier about, like, the complexity of the rule book and the rational anxiety that hits us when we don't know what we're doing and we're afraid we're not going to do it well enough, or that we're going to be beaten. And sometimes those little dexterity games can really create a wonderful bonding experience. There was 2 kids in my class about a month and a half ago who were kind of at each other's throat a little bit. Couple of, they were just misunderstanding, as friends do sometimes. And I found myself in the middle of the story, and I set up Rhino Hero. And by the end of it, I think we played 3 rounds, and we ended up completing the deck. And the 2 kids were like all big, happy, instead of like, why do you like my boyfriend too kind of shit, And for me, it's like, do a dexterity game, because if your fingers are busy, the mouth and the mind will begin to process things differently because they're free at last. And so for me, it's like, yeah, man, if you're going to do one thing, definitely play a dexterity game. They build a lot more than you might think.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Great example, because at the base of it is it's Uno. All of the rules are Uno based. There's a reverse, there's a draw 2, there's a skip, there's all of the and most people are familiar with Uno because they have a deck in their house, or they played it with their family on vacation or something. So I think Rhino Hero is a great go-to overall, because of that familiarity with the way the game plays.
Also, Chris, I'm just going to hop in real quick, because Steven just said something on the chat that's like, I think Tapestry can be super fun to tell the story of your empire. And I'm thinking about that, like, yeah, that's a really smart idea, right? Like, have this make-believe empire and then tie it into the historical, or use that to like create something like an original piece of fiction to help supplement your history writing, etc. So yeah, Steven, great. That is a great point, dude. Holler.
Very cool. My number 5, and I will actually say this is the first list that really isn't in an order, and it's kind of because the same reason that Mike said, that they all have 5 totally different reasons for why it works, and putting this in a list of this one's better than this one doesn't quite work. So this one time I'll allow it. But that's my number 5 is Hanabi. So Hanabi is a game where Rana Kanitsa, you basically are trying to, you show your cards to the other people, and you don't know what your cards are, right? If I could ever see one picture of cards, there we go. So you're showing your cards to everybody else, and you don't know what they are. And so I've played this with people who aren't great at communication, and you're not supposed to communicate, but in a way you're supposed to, by asking certain things and asking for what you need. And it's not direct communication. It's kind of like implying things and figuring out, where people are going with what they're doing. And it kind of makes you think outside of your own self. Like, what are they doing? What am I doing? What are they trying to tell me? What should I try to tell them to help them succeed? It's almost like a teamwork kind of, I mean, it is cooperative, so it's a teamwork kind of thing. And I think it's one of the first games I played that I really felt like it was a real challenge for team building in a way. So I would suggest this for getting people to be able to communicate better together.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. They have a deluxe version that's got these really chunky like tiles that you put up in front of you.
But really, I don't have the deluxe version. I just have that.
Yeah, there's a couple. Tim, who runs Dice Tower West, and Southern Gentlemen, played at the gathering a lot. Like that's the game that they play. They have to play it like 6 times a night, like the entire time that we're there. But they have these chunky, almost like mahjong tiles, and they set them up in front of them, and they're facing the other person. But you have to communicate. You're setting off a fireworks show, but you don't know what you don't know what you have.
Right.
You see what the other person has. You don't know what you have, so you gotta. It's good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's going. Good pick, Chris.
Yeah, you're trying to lay things out in order. That's why you're trying to communicate to each other what they have. So, all right, Mike, you're number 4.
All right, I'm gonna go with my least favorite subject since the 5th grade, math. I haven't gotten along with math in a very long time.
Didn't you say earlier that the people who weren't great at math were usually the lazy ones in the group? And that's something what you said? Okay.
I stand by my statement.
That feels fully representative, yep. Chris.
So for math, and you can argue that anything has really basic math, right? Like even a roll and move is you roll and you count. Anytime you're adding up scoring, right? Like one of our favorite games on the show that we talk about a lot and Katia adores is Point Salad. And you want to talk about math, right? Point Salad is just math, right? This times that, and this however many you have of this times that. But I'm going to go more generic. And although Point Salad would be a really good pick right here, I'm going to say D&D or any RPG. Right? Because did you just fart on camera?
I don't think I can actually just bring up Dungeons and Dragons on here. So
yeah, you don't have to. I'm just my argument for it, and it would be kind of cross curricular because you do have the storytelling atmosphere. Is that you have your dice set, right? You have your D4, your D6, your D8, and then you have to do that in relation to your character with all of the bonuses, right? With -2 or 2 D6s or whatever. So it's a very base level game that would also go along with what you said with Hanabi and being community building and getting groups together. But I think it would be something that's super easy to bring to a classroom. And other than Point Salad, I would say any RPG, right? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be anything serious. It could be a one-off. It could be a something that you found on the internet that has like a one-shot print and play, but it's got character development for your classroom, and then it's got pretty basic math as well. So I would say any D&D more popular, but any RPG that you could get going would work.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does teach a great deal more than math. It could be teamwork. It could be, really depends on the GM and what's being.
I'm going to go. I just saw this looking around like that. This is why I don't touch anything. This game just came out by WizKids kind of recently. It's not on my list, but I just saw it, so I want to. Conquest. Sorry,
Conquest.
It's got the whole dice set, right? D4, D60, whatever. But on your turn, there are those cards that are the monsters, and they all have some sort of kind of ability. And then the number that you see in the upper left there, that's the number that you need to defeat it. And you're rolling your dice, and you're using the dice as its number to put on the thing. And then you're subtracting that from its total. So one of those is a 23. If the D20 is available and you roll a 20, right, now it's down to a 3. But like the idea of what you're bringing into the pool is now no longer in, or taking out of the pool for the conquest is no longer in the pool for use for other people. And then there's abilities and stuff that go along with it too. So looking at that, that's also a good one. I think that would work in the math class, but I still stand by my RPGs. I think that's the way to go.
All right. So that was Mike's 5, 4, and 3.
Yep. That was the rest. I'm going to go. I'm done.
3 games shoved into one.
Good on
Keith, what's your number 4? Oh, wait. We got D&D and RPG. Yep.
I also have 43 recommendations for my 4th pick.
You mean 42?
Oh, Chris.
You had such an opportunity.
I was so close.
Yeah.
I'll leave now. For 4, play a game by Wolfgang Warsch.
Oops, that's the wrong button.
Just do that. Just pick one. Play the mind. Play
any
illusion.
game like Quacks.
Sure, man. Do your thing. But the thing I really like about his stuff is it ties directly back into what you were saying for your 5 pick, which is about communication. And I think his stuff teaches a certain level of like unveiled analytics, and in combination with like, I've watched people play the mind 15-handed, which I know like isn't the rules. Like, sorry, Wolfgang and everything. But I've watched them stand up and cheer like the Super Bowl when they defeat level 2 at 15.
Yeah.
Because somehow it was absolutely just pure on like disbelief realized. And yeah, man, play a Wolfgang Warsch game. They're amazing. They're simple, they're inexpensive, and you can way over maximize the game field. Like you can play illusions more than like game recommended handle, right? Like that's fine. It's an optimal way to play, but you really can for $28 have a tournament in your classroom with 25 people with 2 copies of a game. Yeah, play Wolfgang Warsch. The end.
Yeah, illusion's great. Mind is great.
The game.
The game.
Yeah. I think taverns taverns of Tiefenthal and Quacks are also phenomenal games. Classroom wise, I think something that's card based is easy to repeat, right? Shuffle, do it again, especially illusion, which is super popular in the classroom. Illusion is probably one of the ones that maybe the mind. I think illusion gets played more. Maybe not. I don't know about this year, but illusion got played more than anything else because it was so simple to get to the table. It counted as one of their play journals. Rinse, repeat, right? Shuffle, do it again. Really clever. He's also a phenomenal designer.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Great.
Who's this guy?
Good pick. My number 4 is any exit series games.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, right on.
They're basically escape rooms, but you can do them at a table and you do it in groups. I mean, you could have a tournament where you just, I mean, were they like $18, $20 each?
Sure.
If you bought, 3 of these and then put your classroom into 3 groups and said who can get out first, it gets people working together. It's, there's different types of puzzles. So if you're all art based, you kind of go towards those. There's some math based. It's all over the place, and everybody has different things to look at. You'll find your leaders soon who kind of get the group going and moving quickly. And again, it's more of a communication. And I don't want to go through these pictures very much because there's spoilers in each one of these. But basically, it's a puzzle solving kind of thing. Small escape rooms that you don't have to leave your desk for.
So I'll take it one step. The exit games, and this is more. This isn't about which game is better. This is more about classroom, right? The Unlock series. I would say the Unlock is better for classroom because with exit, at times you're asked to wreck some of the stuff.
I was just about to say the Unlock series is the one that she's talking about, where there's weird ones where they make you split up.
Oh, yeah. They're island
and
ones.
Also, you need an app for the Unlock ones, which if you have iPads and stuff for the classroom, great. But if not...
Yeah, but let's face it, right? The kids have a hard time putting their phones away anyway.
Sure.
But the exit series for a classroom, and teachers have budgets and stuff. The exit series, the game gets wrecked, destroyed, cut up, ripped, whatever.
Oh yeah, it's one-time use. Yeah.
Right. So for repeat, I think the Unlock series works pretty well. They're decks of cards, right? And as long as, like we had with the Billy Kerr game, as long as they're being reset properly, which is not hard to do, you can use them in multiple classrooms throughout the day. And you don't need to buy so many. Do you want your thing? Here.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But the exit series, great points what you make about it. The only thing is they are one-time uses.
And also, I did say the exit games are about $20 each. So are the Unlock ones, but I bet you can find somebody who would be willing to donate their already used unlocks to classrooms.
Sure, because once you play it, right, you know the solve. So
I still have a bunch of mine in a box somewhere, and if somebody wanted them, I'd send them to them if it was for classrooms or something like that. So
just saying, I can get you his address.
Well, I don't actually live anywhere, but you can send them to Mike.
I don't live anywhere. True, educator.
On there, you don't want your address.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I don't know. Like I said, it's a lot of bridges.
Sure, there's a lot of bridges. No, good pick.
What is this, number 3 now?
Yes, number 3.
Wait, what's your
Mike?
Me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right.
No, Luca. What's Luca's number 3?
Luca's number. Yeah. What's your number 3? I can't. You only have 2 hands. I can't give you everything over there.
He wants everything.
You want this? You want to show Chris this? No. All right. I'll go with science. So we did history. We did tapestry for history. We did math and any RPG. So for science, I'm going to go basically anything by Genius Games. And more specifically, since I know I'm not going to take anyone's away from them because Katia is not here tonight, Genotype would be the pick. Periodic is good because of the periodic table, like depending on, again, where you are in the curriculum. But Genotype is, I guess, a little bit more specific to where you are in your curriculum when you're talking about splicing and trying to, develop the P. But their production of the games are great. Their ease of gameplay and learning is good for a high school. Some of them might be better for middle school or approachable for middle school. But yeah, anything by Genius Games, they're specific. Their games are science based. So they would really fit into a science based curriculum seamlessly.
They also have that one where it's like parts of the cells.
Yeah. Cytosis.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, they have an amazing array of games that fit anywhere. If you're a science teacher and you're looking for how the hell do I do this, pick any one of theirs.
Yeah, it'd be memorable.
And periodic, I think, would probably be the more approachable, right? For, I guess maybe, because you're learning the periodic table, so it's specific to where you are in your curriculum. But yeah, there's plenty that you could bring into science.
Or like if they're in the part of the curriculum where they teach you how to clone dinosaurs, you could do Dinosaur Island.
Sure. I mean, you can, right? Like you could talk about it for sure. And why not, right? What a great introduction to like just cloning. Do they do cloning in science? Is that part of the curriculum?
I don't know if
You're a sheep.
We're in kind of like a part of town, so no one's doing cloning yet.
It's not that hard. I got 2 of me sitting right over there.
Yeah, it's like we do it. We just have clones of ourselves.
Very cool. Keith, what's your number 4 or 3? Yeah, we're number 3.
Don't stop playing gateway games. Don't stop teaching them. Don't take them off the table. I had a tournament in Ticket to Ride, like Alan Moon's thing, and I watched this girl in the middle of her game flip the table, right? Like in the middle of class, somebody blocked her route and she like stood up and flipped the table. This isn't hyperbole. It's not a metaphor. Like this young woman stood up and flipped shit, right? Play Ticket to Ride and like take that shit. Like figure out what you do when things don't go your way. Because Chris, I'll tell you, man, I chatted with this girl afterwards and we set the game back up and she was like big apologetic or whatever. But then I've watched like 3 or 4 more times this year where like news didn't hit her well, but Ticket to Ride taught her that shit. It taught her how to handle a moment of disappointment and just figure out how she's going to handle that disappointment. Yeah, man. Like don't give up on the gateways because they really do. They hold something powerful if you're there to teach it. Because the game wasn't about how many trains or fucking min-maxing. It wasn't, oh, look how many routes I have. It was like this girl had an unresolved anger issue and we got to deal with it because every train went all over the floor. And instead of yelling or writing a referral, we just talked about the actual thing, which is like, life's super disappointing. Come suffer with me. That's what Buddha said. That's my number 3.
So what's a few other gateway games besides Ticket to Ride you'd recommend?
King of Tokyo.
Yeah, King of Tokyo I
King
like
of
real
Tokyo.
good. I think that's a fine one. I'll be honest with you, like there's a number of people who I can get into gaming broader, like really like deep level shit by even just doing like that Mario Kart Monopoly Racer thing.
Gamer,
Yeah, like it's not a big deal, right? Sometimes even
Downforce
just
is
seeing
really
it like an iteration of Life or Clue or something that feels familiar can empower people back into the hobby in a brand new way because, oh, hey, we did this and you know it, and it's just this plus that. Well, now it's addition and doesn't make people feel quite as antsy.
Yep. Nice.
I wouldn't be afraid of any of them. You know, we all fell in love for a reason.
I think we did a top 5 gateway games episode at one point.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe about a year and a half ago or something like that. But
I think King of Tokyo, for me, one of the first times we when we first had the game curriculum in 2019 before COVID, we had the classroom just pick a game and start playing just to learn what games were. And this group had King of Tokyo. And it is a little bit, I mean, it's got the energy cubes and it's got the cards, right? It's not just Yahtzee King of the Hill. But before we even got into game design, because eventually they were going to do their own thing, one of the students figured out that getting knocked out of a game felt bad, like losing your turn kind of stuff, right? You're eliminated from the game and we're going to sit at the table and still play and have fun while you just sit there and watch. So at the end of the game, she developed a way to like bring, and it breaks the game, and I understand it breaks the game, but she developed a way to bring the potentially bring the kids back into the game where they rolled a die, and if it came up a heart, they got 3 life and they could play again. But even before we got into the whole thing, this student was like, oh, this is a feel bad moment, and I want to make this not feel bad for everyone, right through King of Tokyo. It was amazing.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Always protect your gateways. Mine is not a gateway. Mine's far from a gateway, really.
Oh.
And honestly, this is on here because it's a personal thing for me, because this is a game that taught me a great deal of my geography, which is Axis and Allies.
Wow.
Oh, right on.
That'll do it.
And also World War II, right? So it got me interested in what really happened and stuff. So, I mean, this map is not exactly accurate anymore because it's what was going on in 1939 or 41. 41 because America's in it, right? So, but just knowing facts like that, it gets you interested in history, gets you interested in geography and things like that. And anytime I know something, like when they go, oh, where's Madagascar? I'm like, oh, it's right there. And it's because I know, oh, what do you, why are you pointing at things?
Look what Brett said.
That's funny.
Wait, so who's Gutenberg? Who's Steve Gutenberg in this one? Is it me? It's you. It's me.
I don't know. I'm not Ted Danson, so who gives a shit?
Someone has to be.
It's Chris.
I don't think I'm any of them.
Gotta be somebody. Brett, who's who? Dude, you're the one that brought it up. Who's who?
Chris, that's a really good choice. Axis and Allies. That was a good choice. I'm a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's my history / geography pick. And also the one that I'm showing here is the version that I had as a kid and still have. It's all beat up and stuff, but they have newer versions that I believe play a little faster and are a little cheaper than this version was. So, and I believe they're available like in Target and stuff too. So,
oh, killer.
Yeah, I think they still are.
Yeah. I feel like I see them around. Will you pass me the chocolate milk?
Absolutely. Chocolate milk it is.
Thanks.
chocolate milk, huh?
Milk, it's just in the glass bottle.
You can call it what you want, but it's universally just teaching.
The real educational tools are popping.
I mean,
up.
think about it though, right? He's walking down the street, he's dancing while he walks, and he's wearing a top hat. So he's just drinking fancy chocolate milk. That's all.
If you had to ask yourself anything like other than what would Edna do, then this is really on you, Chris.
That's true. All right, that's our number 3s. Mike, tell us your number 2.
I'll stick. I'm gonna piggyback off what Keith brought up last time, and your topic of geography just now, and I'll go with geography. And originally, I wanted to go with pandemic, but I'm gonna go with Ticket to Ride.
Oh, wild!
I mean, why not?
I can't think of a reason.
So Ticket to Ride is it hits the gateways. It's very easy to play, and it teaches you the country or state that you're playing really well. As you have your cards and you're trying to figure out your routes, you're asked to kind of find that city, so you know where you're going for your routes. Right? It's not just about putting your trains down on the blues or putting your trains down on the reds. It's about finding the route from one place to another, and it's not necessarily all in the same area, right? There's so many different maps you can play and buy and expand with, whether it's the Nordic countries or Asia or yay. So Ticket to Ride, geography, super easy to get into the classroom, super easy to put into wherever you are in your curriculum. And then even talk about like how they got the railroads to go through the mountains, right? When they had to go west or whatever the hell it is. It offers a lot of opportunity for your geography part of your curriculum.
Yo, not to interrupt your thing, because it was good. Thanks. Was awesome.
Appreciate it.
It was. And I agree with you. But somebody just chimed in and said, Mike is Gutenberg, Chris is Tom Selleck with that sweet facial hair. And then, sorry, Keith, you're dancing by default.
No. Okay. Thanks, Brett. I knew I was Gutenberg because I got the kid. But yeah, it was who's dancing and who's...
Wait, there's nothing wrong with being dancing.
No, I really want to be dancing, but I know that comment is lying to me, Chris. I know it. I can't leave this show and be like, I'm Ted. I'm not. I know the truth.
You're leaving this show saying you're Edna.
I want to be Ted Danson all the time.
Ted Danson's a good pick. Ted Danson's a good pick. Well done, Brett.
Chris, my number 2 is...
just before you jump into that, I just wanted to say, I don't know how many people have read it, but also English teachers might be a little interested in this because the theme of this game is that people have just read 80 Days Around the World, and they're talking, it's like a bunch of friends are talking about it, and they're like, how can we do this but through trains in America? Like, it's a really weird thing, but it's why you see, like, they have the little... There's a picture of it. Yeah, there it is. The hot air balloon is right there. It's why they sneak stuff like that in there. So, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of off the wall from that kind of thing, but I don't know. All right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. You're number 2.
No, it's a cool thing. It really is. It's a cool thing.
Although I will say for the English teachers, there is no hot air balloon in 80 Days Around the World.
It's got a lot to offer, and it's very easily easily acquired and easily accessible. Easily accessible. Is that?
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of like any good card game. You know, like even just like a good like rummy game or a good poker game. Like you can pick up the rules fast. It's like, but I know I'm not the best at Ticket to Ride. You know, like if I entered a tournament, I just get destroyed. So whatever, right? Like it's fine. I'm not going to weep about it, but clearly Alan, the game goes, well, of course Alan would. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I played a couple of times with Alan, and I think he just wants to sabotage my route every time we play.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes him feel like all warm inside, like he saw God.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, just flip the table.
Now I know the play, Chris. Thank you. I'm gonna crush it.
All right. You're number 2, Keith.
Big box games.
Oh.
Big box games, yeah. Big, ugly rule books, those things that make you feel excited at Kickstarter, but that you don't actually pull out. Get up off your lazy ass and read that shit. Like, get those things out and deck them up and see what it's worth. Like, I love that. I just had a group of students teach me how to play Everdell in a 8-minute presentation, and they crushed it. You know, somebody else did Arnak. Somebody else did Scythe by, was it Stonemeyer? Yeah, man, like, big box games. Like, you ain't got to lead with them or nothing, but like, get them out, because that's the kind of stuff that like I watch some people come to life when school's super boring. The number of kids I know who are just in trouble because they're bored. It's outstanding. And you put something like that in front of them, and all of a sudden they start banging on all cylinders, and they realize like, oh, life isn't boring or meant to make me feel like shit. It's just they haven't bumped into anything that actually challenged them yet. And then you throw that at them, like I don't care who you are, you sling like Stonemeyer scythe at someone and say, you got 3 weeks to teach me this. I don't care how many 15-year-olds are in that group, they sweat a minute because all of a sudden they got to bang on all cylinders and they have a reason to do it. Yeah, big box it. I just set up and played Kick-Ass. I hated it. I hated the game. It was like playing Marvel United, but even worse. And I don't even like that game. But I learned the rules and I watched the videos and I set it up and it was an experience and I understand how the pieces move and that shit made me sharper. And big box it up. Like, stop letting them hang out on your shelf. They're not just there to like collect dust, y'all.
I don't know. I get a nice layer of some dust. No.
Oh, it wasn't a judgment, man. You don't get it. I know you're solid.
Funny enough, I usually open up the bigger box ones. That, like, if I get a small thing, I still haven't opened the what is it, Cat in the Box or whatever it is that I got from Gen Con. But whenever I get a giant thing in the mail, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to dig into all that. So, plus, I think I'm justifying the price that I paid for it by doing that.
Oh, dude,
that's a whole nother episode.
I just read 66 updates from a manufacturer who's like sending a product out, and it's been 2 years. And like every time they send something, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the one where I'm happy. Yeah, like hang on their every word. It's amazing.
Bad garbage.
Yeah.
What is
even Scythe? I was there when the students were learning it. It's not a complicated game to learn, right? The strategy in it is bonkers. Like understanding which faction to do with what board you have and how that's going to play into your faction. Like that's next level kind of stuff. But the idea of like one of your 4 actions is block that turn, you have to move it to another thing and do the action. It's not a complicated game. And it's also, I mean, it's pretty as shit. The art's amazing, right? So, yeah.
Honestly, I like the idea of getting the kids to teach you or other kids how to play a game.
Yeah, well, Chris, it comes down to that same thing that I think, like, the more time I spend in the community, there's like this really wonderful ideal in the game community that's like, I actually really like this. So if it comes off snarky, give me a second, I'll circle back around. But there's like, I see this on like Katia's calendars, and you see this other places like play a game 10 times and you'll know what it's about.
Yeah.
But for a kid to be able to teach me how to play Scythe effectively, they play it more than 10 times. They set it up, they engage it more than 10 times. And because that's the mandate, then they must. And subsequently, I think they come to a better understanding of what they like and dislike because they simply must play it more than once. Where if I'm just like at the table and I'm like, I didn't have a good time with this, I probably brought so much baggage to that title, it wouldn't have mattered what you set in front of me, right? I'm just going to take a shit because my pants are full. But like 10 times in, I'm going to come with a whole lot of different attitudes. So anyway, like that kind of comes down to that. Like they actually did that. I think the kids that played Scythe played 15 times. That's a lot. That's a deep run.
Well, also, if you're teaching something, you have to give thought to instructional design, like as in how you're structuring that teach, right? Which you learn by doing over and over and over again, and that's something that's not really
TikTok, and it was awesome.
What was that?
I can't tell you how many kids taught complex games through TikTok, and I was like, oh, that's what we're missing. Dude, unreal. I'll send you a video. Mike will, because whatever.
Yeah.
The bridge.
Yeah, one of their first assignments is to put a presentation together to teach a game. So they got to pick a game, they got to learn a game, and then they put like setup and breakdown and all of the stuff in between for teaching not only Keith but the class. So then what they end up doing is creating a resource for that game in the classroom for future players, right? So if they're done, let's say they played Scythe, they did the how to play and they put it together, and then another class, another group, or in another class, and a totally different, not even in the same classroom, right, with the same students, they now have a resource, a how to play resource done by students, not Rodney or Rado or anybody they got to go, because they can't go to Board Game Geek because that's fucking blocked. So they have an internal resource made by students to help them learn the game when they're ready to play it. It's
dude,
really
my Google Classroom is literally populated with I don't know, man, 40 how to play videos. So if you don't know what to do next, I would just say like, oh, just like go hop on the classroom, like go watch a video, see if something grabs you. Anyway, blah blah.
Blah blah. So my number 2 is I feel like it's a weird thing to have something about education if you don't have a word game in there. So I go with Letter Tycoon. If you haven't played it, and a lot of people haven't, unfortunately, but if you haven't played it, basically you are trying to make longer words. You get 7 cards in your hand. They're all letters on those cards. And then whenever you make your word, you get to buy a patent of one of those letters. So if I make the word, I can't think of a single word now, tycoon. If I make the word tycoon, and then I can buy a T or I could buy a Y and stuff. And anytime somebody uses that letter afterwards, I get money for it. And then you're trying to play to get the most money, right? But the fun thing about this, I thought, is that if I was a teacher and I had a lot of classes have list of definitions that you're trying to teach the kids and stuff, I would say if you do any of those words, you get × 2 your reward. And just have everybody try to play and search for those words. So, simple spelling. I made that Zeppelin, by the way, disclaimer. I didn't make anything else. I just made that Zeppelin.
Little plug there. Well done.
Awesome plug. If anyone needs a tiny Zeppelin, Chris is your dude.
Yeah. But that's weird. What's that? Oh, okay. No. So that's the designer right there. But anyway, Letter Tycoon. We play this game all the time. Just try to make the longest word. Real easy game to get into.
Yeah. What do you see up there? Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to our number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Marcus,
all right.
Let it slap.
So I left this one for the end because, my background is English. So the last subject is English. And although any storytelling game would work, any game with a rule book would work, right? Because you can tie that into anything in the curriculum, any of those check boxes that all of the higher ups really want to see checked. More specifically, and I've seen it work in the classroom with the students time and time again, is gloom. It's a weird concept to get across. Like, you want to make everyone else happy and you want your family to be completely miserable. But the stories that they come up with, it's themed, right? Like gloom, if you look at the art and you look at the time period that they're trying to put you in, I get it. But like when you hear the students start talking about Starbucks and their cell phones and stuff in that world, it's really because they connect it to what they're used to. The way that the game plays, the narrative that comes out of it is perfect for students in an English classroom.
Who did Gloom?
Who made it?
Who's the publisher?
Atlas.
Oh, Atlas needs to get in touch real fast with the folks that did Wednesday and redrape it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because Chris, I don't know if you played it, but it's basically Wednesday, right? It's sardonic, it's sarcastic, it's like the best of Stanley Kubrick, but also kind of family friendly. And yeah, to me, it feels like, oh, you drape that over the top, and it's like everybody would get it instantly on the Wednesday note, because that's what the game is. It's like, I want to make you happy because my goal is like this weird Addams Family depressed sorrow that is our reality. And it also gives space for like light RPG, which is super cool. Yeah, that's a great pick.
They made a Gloom of Thrones, which is all Game of Thrones like sides.
That's cool.
Oh, it's great.
That's funny.
They overproduced the shit out of the deluxe. Like you open the box and it had music and stuff. But yeah, the game, it's spot on. It's got that Addams Family. I almost said Values. That was the second movie. It's got that vibe to it. But the narrative that comes out of it, right? You're helping other people, so it's backstabbery, but in a positive way. Because you're making everyone feel happy, and you got to come up with the story of why they feel happy, and then just tank your own family and kill them. It's just really fun. It's again another one of those like illusion or minds, or where you're gonna shuffle and you're doing it again. So it's really easy to approach and get to the table and play in a 40-minute block, and we lucky we have 80-minute block, but even if you have a 40-minute block class, you're playing this game a couple times, right, to get people behind it or pass it around the room and have people have multiple people play it in the same class. It's just really, really solid.
Also, Chris, that image that you have up really, like, I think highlights one of the cool parts about the game too, is that those transparent cards reinform each other as you lay them down on top of one another. And so one thing that you've earned in the first act of your story might be negated in act 2 when you lay the new piece down, or it might complement what you've done in act 1. And so even that, like the simplicity of transparency, I feel like some designs over rely on a little bit of shtick. This one just feels like it just jams right. Yeah, that's a good pick. Nice job.
It gives you a little bit of a prompt too, right? Like the name of the card gives you a something to go off of. So you're not playing cards blindly, right? It has a little bit of a prompt on there just from the title of the card. So you lean into that and you talk about why they fell in a hole or why they went to the gross, whatever the hell it is. They give you a little bit of a lead in. It's tiny, but a little bit of a lead. So it's getting even the people that aren't necessarily into it or have a hard time with like writer's block or they don't want to talk. It gives them something to jump off with too. So
was charmed by the circus.
Yes, right on.
So go with it, right? Like
right on.
Yeah.
It says it right there. Yeah. Great. Yeah, that's the first game I ever saw with transparent cards, actually.
Yeah, I like that one. That was a good title.
You're number 1, Keith.
All right, so here's the thing, man. I'm going to be honest with you. My number 1 is an obvious choice because if you're looking at school games, every once in a while you got to suck up to a gracious host.
Don't.
So asking for troubles.
Oh,
Play it. Just play that shit because it's a good game. Also, I had this amazing moment with Mike. I don't know if he told you about this or not. Maybe he did. But we were playing your game, and there was this one card that had a bunch of binary on it. And it was just all like computer stuff, right? And I was like, I said to Mike, I was like, that says something. He's like, come on, what? I was like, like, dude, whoever made this shit knows what that says. And he's like, well, type it in. So I went to Google and we typed in your 1s and your 0s and we got the answer on your binary. Yep. And it was just, I don't know, it was genuinely like nerd rewarding, right? Like you built the tree and hung the apple. And I was like, like it was just God in the garden and all that shit. That was great. But also it's a great game, and thanks for making it because kids love it.
Wow, I appreciate that. Yeah, I also very much appreciate that you figured out what the 0s and 1s, because when I did that, I thought no one's gonna ever check this out or read it.
I think I text you from the classroom too when we were doing it.
Yeah, that's the new version of it. Yeah, I have actually gone to colleges and taught this to game classes before. I know a friend of mine who is a teacher. She teaches game theory and all kinds of board games and mobile and all that stuff. And when they get the board games, she asks me every year to come in and teach this game to the whole class. So thanks for bringing that up.
I was not planned. I don't get to talk about it on the show because it's one of the things I don't necessarily, for reasons, right? But to go back to worker placement as well, and we've talked about this, it's definitely more forgiving. It's unbelievably more forgiving than any of the other ones that like Waterdeep, where you go someplace it's blocked off, right? Troubles, you bounce somebody and then they get an extra action. So it never feels bad. And when you're teaching a classroom that could potentially have a lot of like personalities, right? And you're going to start getting like nasty with the game because worker placement can get nasty. This one is letting you still do your thing and not impede anybody else. And you're actually benefiting somebody by going someplace and taking a spot they're already at. So you can't block somebody out of a thing.
No, it gives you the impression of equity.
Right. Sure. Yep.
Which might be the single most important function that there is.
Equity.
The impression of
equity.
Whether it's there or not, I don't know that that's right. I mean, in society, I wish, right?
Sure.
In the game, though, the impression of it, even just knowing, oh, good, you bounce me, I get an extra. That instant reframing into autonomy is the thing that we're looking for when we're powerless. And so the game actually delivers something very satisfying there. I'm done kissing your ass, Teach.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Nice. Yeah, appreciate it. Your check's in the mail. My
I still
number
got
one.
mine, damn it, from Wednesday's show with the rundown.
Oh yeah. I appreciated that as well. My number one is Sentient. I keep wanting to say Sentinel for some reason. It's Sentient. And I don't know if you've ever played this one, either one of you. Have you ever played this one, Mike? Keith?
It's got a purple person on the front.
Yeah.
Sorry, my kid's on the loose, so
Yeah, it's fine. So
liquor bottles.
I mean, this is my math pick, basically.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. So you roll dice, you put them down, and then you're grabbing cards to try to make them work. And so, like, you can see where these dice are, right? And the dice values don't matter as much as what cards you put in between. I'm trying to get a good yeah, here we go. So, for instance, if you're teaching evens and odds and numbers and stuff, if both of these numbers are even, then you get 3 points. You know, if they're this one's not, yeah, they both have to be even to get 3 points. And so there's other ones that actually have little formulas on them, you know, greater than, less than kind of thing. You know, some basic math stuff, but there's some logic to it too, because eventually you have to decide to give up. All right, I'm going to let this one kind of suffer so I can make these other work and stuff. So there's logic puzzle to it a little bit, but it's a real easy game to get into. And for the most part, you know, it'll teach you some basic math stuff. So
that's really cool. Yeah, I haven't played that, but that's a good pitch right there.
Yeah, for instance, this one right here, this one says you get 7 points minus what these two add up to. So you want these as low numbers.
Oh,
but then this one wants you to have even numbers on either side, or even on this side, but odd on this side, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's see how this has a minus and a plus here? When you lay it down, you have to add one here and minus one to this die.
Oh, dude, I love this.
And you have you have a limited number of these little pegs that you can put it on so that it doesn't have to change the die.
I was just going to ask you if that little red peg, if that negated, right, the operation. That's really cool.
Yeah, and you use those pegs to bid for grabbing these cards. So it's give or take, you know, if you want to use those up or not. So
yeah, that's rad.
Really good game. So that's my number one.
So the other thing I was going to say, man, is that for educators who are out there, who are watching this later or checking it out this evening, dude, I poured all of the whiskey in your glass into mine while you were away.
It's cool.
Doesn't matter now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just now that's what I'm drinking.
Okay.
Yeah. You were gone, so I figured move your seat.
I'm good.
Keith steals your booze.
All right.
If it rhymes, it has to be true. But
How does that
Chris,
rhyme?
so it doesn't at all. What? Fuck. Can you at least make that more?
Yeah.
You're lovely. For educators who are out there, like, I think a place where a lot of people get super bogged down is like, where am I going to get the economy for this? How am I going to meet the right used gamer friend who's going to donate their stuff to me? Quick recommendation, like big shoulders, brass balls, like reach out to the manufacturer because they want their game in your classroom real bad. And if
the publisher or the manufacturer? You mean the publisher?
The publisher. Yeah. The publisher. Reach out to the publisher, right? Like, talk to that person, because if all of a sudden you're like, hey, I do this thing and here's the thing, and on social media there's going to be this little blurb and it's going to look cute for you and you get a nice tax deduction on a case, and all of a sudden you've got this other little peg, most people are just going to ship you a case. I mean, that's just the truth of it. Like, they will. They'll support it because there's not a lot of people out there doing it. And if you take that risk and you take the risk to ask for what you want, that's an amazing thing, man. And like, I get some no's every once in a while, like we get a pass, but it's like 9 out of 10 times people are like, yeah, what do you need? Like, how can I help? And I'm not like, dude, I'm talking like the bigs. Like, I'm talking like Panda Games sends stuff out. Like, Days of Wonder sends stuff out. 3WS sends stuff out to us. I mean, we get collections from everywhere. Like Van Ryder Games, it's no joke. Like, you reach out there's a human on the other end of that line. And hey, I want to teach kids how to be better people, or how to deal with something difficult, or how to strategize, and I want to use it with your art. I mean, forgive me, but it's basically a hand job to a publisher.
Well, and then if you do that, do them back a favor and post about it a little bit, and
show them that love.
Yeah,
100%. Give them that praise back. Like, follow up on our end of the deal too. Like, give them the love.
Yeah, very cool. I used to do instructional design and teach professors how to do stuff. So I've never taught, not children, but high school kids and stuff like that. When you're teaching them, do you find like when you come in with the idea of we're going to learn about games or something like that, do you find that they're more focused, like this is already an interesting thing, so you just already have them focus, or is it just like any other class where they're just like whatever kind of thing?
No.
Total opposite.
What hooks them, my opinion, I don't know, like maybe we'll argue, honey. My opinion is that what hooks them is that we're going to give them a shot to compete with you, with Michael, with Katia, right? Like, we're going to level the fucking playing field. You're 15, don't know shit about fuck. And in 8 months, I'm going to let you play ball at the highest level. That might not matter what the text is. Might not matter what the content is. When you get to be taken seriously, your art gets to be taken seriously, and you get to direct yourself and to think about like, shit, man, I'm going to write something that for the first time in my young life is going to be taken seriously. Not some bullshit essay that nobody reads, right? That your teacher fucking throws on a set of stairs and is like, everyone at the top got an A and I didn't read anything. Like, we're actually going to take you seriously. You make it, you pitch it, and I'll bring you an audience of people that are like, even in the like top tiers of the design community, they would love to have that audience. And so I think when you put those pieces together, what really captivates people is bringing their imagination to life. And games are one way to do that. And I think that's the difference. It's not, if at the end of the day I'm teaching, like I'll come back to Troubles, right? If I'm teaching Troubles the same way we approach Shakespeare, we're going to have a huge problem, right? Because school sucks the life out of a lot of shit, including William Shakespeare, and his shit was kind of amazing. Like Jay-Z and everything. Like, he was pretty cool. It's not just the content. Like, you just drop a game in front of a group of kids. No, you don't necessarily have a hit. If you take a human being seriously in their creative endeavors and give them an outlet for that expression, pow, pow. I think now there's something there.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, by the way, I'm going to put that up from Steven. Just to let you know about that.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Perfect.
Steven's like the fucking shit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Steven, I don't know if you're coming to Origins, but Gen Con, stop by and I'll introduce you guys in person. If you're I think Steven will be at Origins. If you're coming to Origins with me, then I'll introduce you then too.
Oh, I got to meet Steven. He's doing cool shit.
Steven's good.
Yeah. That's good people. Thank you. And Steven, thank you for that, man. Like, you're, as someone who receives packages like that, not from you, but from others, it means a lot. Keep it up.
So I may have brought this up in a previous episode, but when I was doing my master's, for literacy, one of the things that I had to do was to bridge the gap in a student who was reading at a much lower level than their grade, and whatever. So 6th grade, reading at a 4th grade level. Okay. My task was to bridge the gap, which is a totally another episode of arguments. So in getting to know the student, found out that he was a big Halo fan, loved Halo, played Halo, could hold his own. Like, okay. So Bowl of Reach was coming out, the new game, right? The prequel to what was going on. And they had a novel about it. So I asked his father and I said, do you mind? Because it's a mature rated game, right? And I know he plays, but I wanted to make sure it was okay. So I asked the father, is it okay if I read Full of Reach with your kid? Yeah, absolutely. Loves Halo. It'd be great. Okay. Kid was with me the entire way, the entire book. And the only missteps were like the names of the ships or the people, like the Nebuchadnezzar. Like he had a problem doing that. He knew plot, he knew setting, he knew characters, he knew everything. It's an 11th grade reading book. It was at an 11th grade level. He's a 6th grader reading at a 4th grade level and was right there with me the whole way. So talking about like somebody coming into the classroom and already being engaged because it's new, it's something different than every other classroom they're doing, to we've heard students like, why can't every classroom be like this one? And we do things fun. Like the classroom is definitely fun. It's a game within a game kind of thing, but you're taking them seriously. And in the beginning, they didn't know about like, we're leveling the playing field and you're going to be able to go to this event where top-notch publishers and designers are going to take a peek at what you're creating. They didn't know that in the beginning, and they were already sold. They were already invested in everything that we had. When they stepped through that door, everything was like ready to go. And then they find out like all the other bells and whistles that were going to be going on, and they were just like pigs in shit. They bought into the program from day one. They knew what was going on because we were treating them like fucking humans, right? Not like, and this goes back to when I was in school, like learning with them rather than teaching at them. Most teachers are teaching at them. They're in the front of the classroom, doing the lecture, taking the notes, doing the tests, fine. You hand in the paperwork, you got your 80, you're done. And like Keith said, that essay is just, it's given, if it makes it back to the student, it's put in their folder, they look at the grade, and they're done. Like, okay, I got an 80. The way that the way that it should be done, giving them an opportunity to correct their mistakes, right? Learn from their mistakes. Read the good with the bad. All of the things that games do, right? Like, yeah, I fucked up. All right, do it again. Oh, I didn't win this one. Do it again. The same thing that's going on at the gaming table should be the same thing that's happening in the classroom. And it's the connection there. And it goes back to when we first started talking about this. The connection there is unreal. What games do for adults, right? Your typical adult at a table with the learning and the creativity and the engagement is happening at least firsthand experience with a 10th grade classroom. And honestly, some of the designs that those students would come up with are better than some of the ones that I see being pitched to companies. And that's not, I'm not being biased here. Like their creativity is untouched, right? They're unblemished. I don't know if that's the right word. They're unfazed by what they've played for years, right? They're not trying to compare their designs to something that already exists. They have a fresh creative mind when it comes to creating something unique, new. And it's amazing to see.
I mean, even just like to support what Mike's saying from a purely neurobiological standpoint, the prefrontal cortex of a 15-year-old fires just about, I don't know, man, just shy of 30% quicker than you and me. Like we're super good at cause and effect. Like remember when we were 13 and you get on a roof and ride a skateboard into a pool? Like remember that shit? Right? You were just like, yeah, fuck, I'll do that. What could possibly go wrong? I'm going to do this dope ollie into the pool. But like if you ask me now, I'm like 42, I'll be like, I don't know, I'm going to sprain something. I shouldn't. Like I'm really good at cause and effect now. They are not. They suck at it. That's why they're fucking riding skateboards into the pool. But that also means that they don't see walls where you and I see them. Like they see little doorways, they see little nooks and crannies, places to dive in to make something, and they're unabashed and they're like, they don't have insecurity about the industry and will someone take me? All that's, they don't know how to be insecure at that level. So they just make it. The end.
One thing we did early on when we were going down this whole game design and curriculum, right, in an English classroom in a high school, we kept coming back to the two words, why not? right? If we had an idea and we thought about something to do in the classroom, or we thought about some bonkers thing to present to them, it was always like, yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. And in game design, that's what you should be doing, right? Like, let's see if this works. Well, what if we did this? Yeah, why not? See if it works. Get it to the table, try and play it. And they're not hesitant in trying to get something. Well, why not? Well, what do you think if I did this and I took this game, or I took this IP, or I took this thing and I did a thing? Yeah, why not? Go do it. And they would do it, and they'd rock it. And it was amazing.
Also, dude, Chris, that comes back to like your point about working in a team, which is if you're working in a team and your partner who you respect, I don't care who that is, your fucking Mr. or your Mrs., right? Like whoever you're in love with or whoever you're designing with, or like, doesn't matter to me, man. If they say something and they're super serious about it, say why not before you take a shit on it. See what happens. Like, why not? Dude, that's it's a design dream come true. Because even if let's say Michael says to me, Keith, why don't we do this insane thing that no one's ever going to really resonate with? And in like right here, you know, when you feel it here, when you're like, oh no, right here says no.
He feels it every Monday.
Yeah. Every time that's on the show, he's like, why did I do this? Tonight, especially. Oh, yeah. Twofold, right? But if instead of being like, well, here's 1,000 reasons why I'm nervous or insecure, if I'm just like, policy is why not? I also just gave carte blanche to my partner to have full creative control of a moment. And that's a gift that, like, as you give it back and forth in your design program, it only encourages better and better and better, because it's not about, oh, Mike fucked up, which I love. But it's like, oh, we failed. Let's fail quicker, right? Move to the next thing. Like, it's always the iteration. It's not about the moment. It's like, what's the best possible product for our user base? And in this case, it's, you know, the 25 captive audience members that we have sitting in front of us. Anyway.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
Because you can tell them not to, right? Like, well, what if I did this? Well, I played this game and it did it and it didn't work. Or, you know, I watched this video, or I know this genre, or whatever. Telling them is different than them experiencing it, right? So if you want to do a thing, yeah, do it. Why not? Because
I guess at the very worst, you could, like, if they said, hey, what if we did roll and move? You could be like, well, let's play this game that has roll and move and see what you think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if they're like, oh, that sucked, you'd be like,
right. And also, like, dude, imagine if like some weird 15-year-old kid is sitting on the fucking shit ass amazingest roll and move that none of us ever, right? They've been in front of us forever. But like, I don't know, they just figured out fusion the other day, apparently. So like some kid did that shit. Like, why not fix the roll and move? Like, am I going to tell a kid no? Right? Like, it's my favorite mechanism. And I'm like, it's bullshit. Right? But like, they just figured out fusion. So yeah, make a roll and move. Like, show me. Right? Why not?
That when we first started, there was a group that was hell-bent on making a party game. And although initially we wanted something a little more creative than like
we wanted something gamery.
Sure.
Yeah.
But man, they nailed it. Like, their game that they came up with was something that we hadn't necessarily seen. We've seen iterations of it that have done really well in the industry, but they did something that was creative and new in that genre. So yeah, why not do it?
Cool.
The whole class isn't doing party games. Like, they got it. You guys can't. But yeah, why not? It was always why not. It was always
do you assign different types of games to different groups?
That depends.
Yeah, so the process is that students keep a game journal. So there's like rhetorical, literary, other like technical aspects of school that, like, if the state were to like look into my class, they would be like, oh, this motherfucker's still technically doing his job really well, right? Like those pieces that still lock and load me. But I also think it's a really cool idea to have a game journal. Like one of the questions we asked was like, what was the atmosphere at your table, right? Like, in a literary sense, I'm asking about mood and tone, but I don't really care about that. What I care about was like, how did you feel? Like, what was it like to connect over this artifact in this moment, in this space with these other motherfuckers that you didn't choose? And that's my favorite part to read, right? It really is. Because I think it's why we all got involved in this weird thing once upon a time.
I could give two shits about rhetorical devices.
Yeah.
You can find them in any game, which is great. And that's one of the check boxes. Like, if they did check on
also, like, if Aristotle's right, they're everywhere all the time, all at once.
Right.
So all we're doing is just
100%.
pointing out ubiquity.
Sure. But we have a documentation that's
Right
like, if the powers that be come in and be like, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, we're going over rhetorical devices in games. Like, okay, continue. So it's there, but man, like the creativity that comes out of them, like the moments, right? Like what you were saying, like it's amazing. It was amazing.
Also, like, imagine a kid who finally recognizes that everything Shakespeare is currently public IP, and that a Macbeth game is literally just interest away from being a success. Because if everything's IP, just go back 75 years and that shit's free.
Well, it's like 70 years plus the life of the
author. I thought it was 90 years.
It's like the life of the author plus 70 years or 70 years after they're dead. There's so many different.
Here's the truth. There's a lot more that's free than costs money.
All of Sherlock Holmes is now free.
Yeah.
Right. So if you start looking at like, all right, what is actually like, what does it mean to look at things as IP, and what do you actually have access to? Because one of the things that's kind of cool about copyright law is that over time, what we create belongs to all of us, which means that our collective history is an act of ownership in the present. And to teach them that, and to teach them that this isn't just this isolated thing that only exists here for these people in this time, but it's yours to recreate and then to reimagine in a new medium. To be honest with you, like, I'm a nerd for like New York State teaching standards too, because of like whatever, but it's literally like the highest tier of understanding is to take something from medium A and move it to B. Like, there's no better understanding than be like, oh, I just converted your novel into a film. Because we know how hard that is, right? How many times you've been like, I hate that I'm alive.
Having a graphic novel into prose. So one of the biggest things in education, and this is also from, sorry, I know, you can tear. I got tissues. Here's one right here, if you need it. When someone's learning a game, when you learn a game, right? You learn any game, right? And then you can teach that game to somebody else. That transfer of knowledge is one of the biggest things in education, right? To be able to inherently understand what was taught and then teach it to somebody else, right? That movement of what's being taken in and then what you're giving to other people efficiently and effectively. That moment for me was one of the biggest things that I saw when someone stepped up and was like, oh, I learned that game. Let me teach it to you. You don't need the rule book. Let me tell you how to play it. And they taught it well. Like, showing that they knew what they learned was like next level. They got it.
Dude, you know that feeling though, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe like you guys are old hat and like this doesn't happen anymore for y'all, but it happens to me. If I teach someone a game, like if I invest in learning the rule set and then I teach it and then like it's received really well, I spent money. Like I lost money on this adventure. And I still feel really good. I feel like I did, right? Like they like this and somehow I had something to do with that. And like spreading that, like that's what games does really well.
How good does it feel when you teach Dice Miner to somebody?
Oh, dude, fucking right? 8 out of 10. I'll reduce the fraction. Fucking 4 out of 5 every time. Yeah.
It's just a good feeling when we teach a game that not that we made or created or whatever, but when we're at a convention and you see somebody like they're opening up a game and they're looking at the rule book and you can come over and be like, I got you, right? They were doing that at 15 years old to other people that they don't necessarily like talk to on a regular basis. And that learning, like watching that learning happen, right? Because I mean, maybe they got a rule, but that's how we all play Monopoly wrong, right? No one ever really read the rules and understood like every property goes to auction at $1, even if you don't buy it. Everyone plays Monopoly is 5 hours long and blah, blah, blah. No, you didn't read the rules, but those people that got it. And those people that understand how to teach a game, like it's something special. And we do it, right? We do it as adults. We do it in conventions. We do it in our gaming groups. I'll do it tomorrow at the Bullfinch. Like that's what we do. And they're learning it so much easier to be able to teach someone something, whether it's games or whatever, right? They're learning that skill.
You know, someone just learned that they've been playing Monopoly wrong, right?
Seriously, go learn that shit. There's a video if you want to. Well, whatever.
Also, it really changes the game. And I played it right not too long ago with my niece and nephew because they're 11 and 7. And so they were like, Uncle Keith, we love Monopoly. And like, I told them, I was like, I'm never going to talk to you again. And they were like, I don't understand. And
wait, where's that why not attitude?
Right. And that's what I was missing. So I sat down and played with them, right? And I was telling them about like this whole thing about the dollar, like, and then the auction. And like, I went to the rule book and they're like, Uncle Keith, that's not real. Like our dad said. And I was like, fuck. All right, let's play it that way. But it's still awesome. Also, like, they really love it.
Yeah. With the
who cares how they love it?
Yeah.
Like they love it.
That's,
you know, like they want to sit down and open up a piece of cardboard and move some shit around. That's amazing.
Yeah. One of the things somebody on this channel right now,
this might be the first time I've ever seen somebody say that, actually.
Nice. Yeah, that rule changes things, right? Your game's no longer 4 hours long. So someone on the stream right now, I'm not going to name names, hates house rules.
That's fair.
Can't stand them.
Yeah, fair.
But if a house rule is going to make the game funner for the group, right? It's going to make it more entertaining. It's going to be more engaging. It's going to pull people in. I think there's like with King of Tokyo. Sure, bringing somebody back into the game breaks the game. Like, I get it. But if they're all playing it and they're having fun with it, right? Why not roll a die? You got a 1 in 6 chance of getting a heart. And if you get a heart, you got 3 life and you're back in the game. Like, just that little moment. Like, yeah, sure, do it. It's not in the rules. It's not the way to play, but it makes it fun for the group. So
you've simplified my stance on house rules, but
totally simplified it.
I'll let you get away with it.
I didn't say it was you. I didn't say it was you.
But like, also, like, I think
you were pointing.
This is the
I did not.
This is the hype about the game thing, though, right? Like, one person can play by the rules, right? The rules are important because the rules are important. And another person can completely modify that rule set. And as long as the table is having fun, something good's going to happen in that space. And if let's say Chris is teaching the game, right? And it's like, this is the rule set and I'm playing by the rules. I'm going to have a good time because Chris is captaining and he knows what he's doing and we're going to have a time together. And if I house rule something because I don't know what I'm doing or I just make an executive decision, but my group's still having fun, I do think that there's a case to say, like, fuck, isn't that just make the whole argument better for games? Right? Like, write your own, play the deck. If you're having fun, this game's delivering in ways that it didn't even promise to deliver. And that's exciting to me. But yeah, I get it, man, because rules are important.
Well,
if I played Kick-Ass with no rules, I'd have had a ton of fun.
Well, yeah, you can play basketball with no rules and have a blast. Like, no one defend me, get out of the way. Let me, like
the NBA.
Sure, like the NBA.
Sorry, Daryl.
Nope, no sports.
I'll go now.
Just kidding. Well, sort of.
We'll get you there. Just hockey, Chris. It's just hockey.
You know, I watched most of the last episode that you were on until you guys got into about 20 minutes of hockey talk, or maybe it was hockey. It was probably hockey. I was like, let me move up a little bit. See, nope, still talking about hockey. Nope, still moving. All right, 20 minutes later, there they are, back on board games.
Yeah. It's not for everyone.
That's fine.
I feel like, Chris, the brokerage game for you might be Icelandic curling. It's just a slippery board game. Pawns are people.
That's true.
That might be your gateway into being a fucking huge NFL fan next year.
I don't see it happening, but...
No, me neither. I'm full of shit.
Why not? All right. Well, let's see. I don't have anything else on our thing. I'm going to say like and subscribe, everybody.
So we did say we were going to play a game, but I know you got to bounce.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking at.
And I think you did this, but I did ask, and this you don't know about this, to come up with a couple games. Did you come up with a couple games?
I did. Oh,
okay.
What was they?
So here's
oh, fuck.
Okay.
I totally know where this is going.
No, you don't. Yeah. Where do you think I'm taking it?
I think you're going to talk about shit that's going to happen to me on the board of No Bueno.
No.
Oh, cool. I
wouldn't do that.
Before we even do that, I promised that we would get back to what Bueno No Bueno was. and him eating sloppy meat out of a water bucket.
Oh yeah,
Never explained any of
I'll
that.
talk about that all day. Hey, Andrew.
Andrew.
So yeah, the whole experience in the classroom is called Bueno No Bueno. So when you walk into the classroom, you're a player in the game, and in order to be a player in the game, you must have some sort of player representation in the form of a meeple. So on the board, on one of the cork boards, is basically a roll and move. It's a big die, a big D plush D20. And then it's a Monopoly board, right? It's got every, like where the railroads are, right? There's a physical challenges. And then around the board are things, not necessarily good things. If you are not engaging in the classroom, if you are on your phone, if you forgot a project, if you need more time to make a project better, that's fine. No problem. You just got to roll the die and you move your meeple around the board and do the thing. Like maybe Keith, you open up your phone and you go to your mom, and then Keith gets to GIF your mom with no context, just sends a GIF to your mom out of the blue.
Dude, I send so many crying John Stamoses, and moms are just like, "What's happening, baby?" If there was anything right here, I would feel bad.
Some of them are you got to go out in the hallway and interview a stranger, and you have to come up with 3 non-yes or no questions in order to ask them. So they're not all awful. You got to dance.
That's worse. That's the worst thing you could have done to me as a kid.
What, get you to interview somebody?
Yeah, just leave.
You know what's amazing, man, is like when we start this project, there's always those kids who you can tell you're like, uh-oh, I made a terrible choice being here. And then they watch. So inevitably, I end up being the poor idiot who's like no bueno all the time, right? Like I'm late to class. Sure. I swear a ton. I don't really learn their names efficiently or at all. And so they're like, listen, my name's Rhiannon and it's been 7 months. And I'm like, you're right. That's no bueno. I should know what you're called. Right. And then I end up sticking my face into a bowl of water to fish turkey out because I hit physical challenge and then I roll a sub die and like there's all this drama. But I think because I do it, because Michael does it, because an administrator walks in and they're a player in the game, and it really starts to deconstruct our anxiety. Like you can start to realize that like sometimes something tough happens to you, but if you own it, you can move through it and actually become better as a result of that thing that felt like it was going to totally hold you down. Like, dude, I watched a girl. I don't think you were there for this, man. That was too bad. Like, you'd have loved this. I watched this girl, right?
I've seen the best.
She like got a no bueno card for the first time, and she was like super tense, like big fucking sweat, anxiety. I read all of her shit. I know what she's dealing with, and I know what I just asked. And she was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I told her, I was like, you don't have to do it. The point of this is like, you did something silly. Now you'll do something silly. And so she thought about it for like 15 full minutes. And her no bueno, like universal discipline was you're going to do a 2-minute presentation on the topic of my choosing. And so I told her she was going to tell me about the history of porta potties. And she had 5 minutes to research it and 2 minutes to talk. And this girl was like, she was at the edge. Like she stood up and I could watch her hand shake. And she fucking talked about porta potties for 2 minutes. Like, Chris, I counted it down and she was like, and then in 1978, like it was like that. And then she got done and she like, everyone just burst into applause and screamed. And like a couple minutes later, I caught up with her and I was like, yo, how did that feel? And she's like, I'm so glad I did that. Like no bueno gave her bueno, right?
They're not all in front of the class anxiety ridden. Like some of the students have to spend 15 minutes in kitchen mittens, right? Like oven mitts. And they like if you're prototyping, it sucks. If you're taking a test, that sucks.
If you're typing a paper with 2 pencils in your kitchen mittens, I just have never. It's like watching someone milk a fucking cow. It's just best.
So where the railroads are in Monopoly are physical challenges. And if you end up on a physical challenge, you then have to roll a D6. And there are 6 different challenges that you have to do. One is there's a bunch of different games that you have to do. There's a Pong game, a bowling game with your head, right? It's got the bowling ball on your, like a bandana, whatever. But one of them is bobbing for turkey. And initially, everyone was like, what's bobbing for turkey? Like, that sounds ridiculously amazing. And the first person to do it was Keith. It was the I didn't get your name right thing after so many months. And so now in order for that to happen, Keith had to roll a D20 and move his meeple to the physical challenge, which happened. Then he had to roll a D6 and it had to come up 6, which happened. And the whole place lit up. It was an event that happened over lunch. It's on camera. There were people like it's been. But in order to be, you have to be part of it, right? Like you're not the teacher that's letting everyone else do the thing. You have to do the thing as well. So if you're called out or you do something shitty, like if you're sitting at the desk and you're on your phone, the student can kind of like call you out on that. But then to combat that, we have a spinning wheel. That's the wheel of Bueno. And initially it's a lot of tchotchke kind of like fun stuff, right? Stupid stuff that you don't necessarily need, but it helps to build that community that we're building, right? They feel great when they get to spin the wheel and then they get a little bag of Pop-Tarts or they get like this little figure, whatever it is. That slowly ends up being way more severe because they realize the intricacies of the classroom, where now on the wheel is 15 minutes with Keith. So when you do a Bueno or you get a Bueno card and you spin it and you get that 15 minutes with Keith, when your paper's coming up or your play journals due or whatever's going on, you're going to cash that in and you get 15 solid minutes with the teacher, right? Or designs coming around and you get 15 minutes with both of us. That ends up being the thing. Then it's like, yeah, okay, I had to wear kitchen mittens for 15 minutes, right? It's all part of the experience. It's all part of the experience. I just used that on you this week.
Yeah.
It's all part of that's way worse than it sounded. Yeah, it was a Christmas vacation.
It's whatever. Everything you're imagining.
No, none of that at all. No. But it's really, so when you step into the classroom, it's both of those things, right? It ends up being the fun and goofy and building the community, and then it kind of gets into that rewarding. Oh shit, this is real. Like we're gonna be able to make a game and talk to people that are like the people in the industry, and it's like amazing.
We've given away 15 minutes with Alan Moon.
Oh yeah,
right. Like you actually get that Zoom call.
Yeah.
Like I said, like this classroom for 15-year-olds, like there's like I know there's like designers who'd be like, well, can I get that?
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't even know what they're getting.
Yeah.
Like the number of people who just like, I mean, like your guest list has been amazing, right? Like Andrew Wolf just signed on for like no reason whatsoever. He's an amazing designer who does incredible work. Like these are the people that these students end up indirectly interacting with. Like, I don't know if Andrew's ever been one of those people yet, but like at some point he will be.
He will be, hopefully this year.
Yeah. Right. Like, but this is what I'm saying is like, this community really does hold each other down. And I think if you're an educator and you reach out, I think you're going to get more support than you find. Like I haven't found anything but love.
Yeah. Because it's an amazing community.
It really is. Yeah. It's shocking. Like sometimes it's like, I don't even trust it. It's so nice.
Yeah.
But then it just keeps delivering.
Most of us.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I'm not that deep in it. So everyone I meet is always super cheery and everything.
Yeah.
Truth.
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
No, it's true.
Also, I go to like one thing a year.
Mike's just saying I'm ornery. You don't want to mess with me. And then
I don't know, dude. I saw you in person at FenCon and you were super nice to me. I wish you were more of that. Next time we meet, Chris, in person, I want to be like, hey, Chris, I really love your show. And I want you to be like, fuck off, asshat. Then I'll be like, oh, yeah.
I'll call you Edna.
There it is.
All right. Well, is this about the time you need to go, or did you want me to bring up a couple more?
At least one of the games, at least one.
I really should go.
Yeah, it's just one.
No, it's not with you. Fuck
no,
you.
It is. We'll just do one. Seriously, he controls it all.
What's the game?
All right. So here's the thing. Chris is gonna name a game.
Yeah.
You might not know it, so I'll help you with it.
Okay.
And then you have to come up with a way that it be used in a curriculum, in a classroom.
Oh yeah, right on. All right, let's play real quick.
All right. Well, the problem is I thought I was going to trip you up by naming something big, but Keith has already kind of said, let's pull out some big games and stuff. So I was going to say Dwellings of Elderville.
Oh, Corey, yeah, just one, 100%, because it's awesome. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you say about Elderville?
Dwellings. I would use Dwellings in the classroom.
Dwellings of Elderville?
Area control. It's got the meeples off the board onto the thing.
Oh, well, listen, man. Like, okay, so
fantasy dragons.
I've never played Dwellings of Elderville. I don't know anything about Dwellings of Elderville, but based off the fact that it's operating inside of fantasy and utilizing worker placement means that, like, in my space, she already has a home, right? Like, if you're trying to prioritize geographical significance for personal gain, welcome to America. And there's a fucking dragon. Thank you, Tolkien, because it is better than Star Wars. Oh, I just wrapped it.
All right, everybody. Well, we'll see you next week.
Guess who's not coming back for 2 more years? But, like, dude, that's the thing, right? Is like, we got to stop thinking about content as content. Everything's content. This is content. Like, as far as my curriculum is concerned, we just sat and made deep cut references, right, between This Is and That's, and created laughter because we both understand the difference between, right, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And that juxtapositional, like, absolute harsh tone that I took creates agita, and agita creates humor in the face of discomfort. Like, that's a recognition of linguistic significance that is far superior to anything else. So, like, yeah, man, cool. Tell me the next game. Let's put that in my classroom.
Yeah, well, before continuing, I just wanted to say that I was just arguing yesterday that Star Wars is fantasy in space. So they even have crate dragons. So I'm just saying.
You have dragons. That's true.
Dragons.
I'm also not, like, adverse to Star Wars.
Nope, you hate Star Wars. You heard it here.
Those are great.
Like 4 and 5?
Yeah. Like
Not
1979 and
77.
1980, whatever.
77 and 80.
Come
on, you do the thing.
80.
Okay? Those first 2 really slapped. And then after the Ewoks, it was kind of just this sort of,
Yep, that's a good time to leave.
Oh, it's happening to me. Anyway, whatever. Next.
Well, actually, Scythe was one of them, but you already brought it up. And
sorry.
So I was trying for bigger ones, and I was trying to grab ones that. The problem is that I don't know a lot of games that you've played, right? So I was trying to pick bigger ones and stuff. I wouldn't have. What was that?
That's even better if he doesn't know it.
Just because you can name the. Well, let's just talk mechanisms then.
Yeah, let's do the thing.
Like, are there mechanisms that you find are better for the classroom than others? Like worker placement, we already talked about that. But what about, like, Deception in Hong Kong? Have you ever played that one? That's the one where somebody is a murderer and you don't know who it is, but everybody has cards in front of them, and one of those cards is the thing that you left behind, and one of those cards is the thing you use to kill with. And so, yeah.
So like a deduction or secret trader. Yeah, like, no, I haven't played that one, but we actually do play group-wide deduction secret trader games. Like, we call it Mafia, right? Where you, like, deal out a couple of cards. It's like Werewolf, right?
Werewolf, Mafia, Alien Among Us. Yeah.
And we've done 2 Rooms and a Boom together, like big group games like that. Yeah, it's you know, whether or not it's, like, for everyone, there is something really exciting about, like, a group dynamic. And all right, so I'm going to bring it back to, like, I'm going to poke at. I'm glad we talked about troubles tonight, because otherwise I'm going to lose him. But it's the difference between watching sports on TV and being in the stadium, right? Like, the kids in the room who are playing Mafia or whatever the thing is that we're doing as a group, they're also being sold that product. Like, I'm not just disinterestedly dropping some shit in front of them being like, like, I'm actively out there pumping that shit up, right? Like, also, There's fucking lights and sound in that room. Like we let bass drop and lights go popping off. Like we have dance parties impromptu for no reason. Like we pump this shit. So when we bring it to you, yeah. Also, dude, it's fucking school and it's horrible. So all of a sudden you start having fun accidentally and you didn't know it was going to happen. It scrambles little people's brains. Sorry, that was a long answer.
It makes them look forward to coming to school, right? Because they have English that day. And not only do they have English that day, but they spend lunch in the classroom. Like they go get their lunch, and it takes a minute for them to come back, right? We go to lunch, we stay in lunch, we're in the cafeteria. But then they realize what that classroom offers, not only with themselves, but with us and with each other. And the whole thing when they walk into that room is just relaxing, right? It's a safe space. They go and get their lunch and come back. And then there's more people at lunch than we have in the class. So one of the classes is 40 minutes and then lunch and then the rest of the 40 minutes. And it's 25 students, 28 students, whatever the fuck. The lunch period, there isn't an empty seat. They're bringing friends in, like, you got to come and play this game and let's go play it through lunch. And they spend their lunch in the classroom then too. So it just creates an unbelievable atmosphere, not only during school, but like when they're home and looking forward to coming to school. And then after school, like all of the things that you hate about school, this is taking and flipping it upside down. And it's just, they just buy into it. So you're playing music, sure. You got literally my cousin's old DJ lights that he got rid of because he upgraded. Like they're in the classroom and we have a little portable speaker. So you're playing music and you got the lights and it's just a fun environment. And then, oh yeah, there's also some learning going on because they're learning more, my opinion, they're learning more in that classroom than they're learning in other classrooms. They're learning more cross-curricular things than they're learning in other classrooms. Like the skill that it takes to write an essay for history, right? Or they might not be learning about, whatever, pick a topic. They might not specifically be learning about that, but the skills that teacher is hoping to teach the class, they're learning in this classroom. It's not just about it. We had Fulbright scholars come in thinking that it was a tech class.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, they were like, wait, this is an English class? Like they're Fulbright scholars that are in the classroom that aren't supposed to be there. They're supposed to be down the hall. They find out that we're doing this dope shit. And they're like, oh, I want to see what's going on. Then they come in and they're like, wait, this is English? Like they didn't even have any idea that it was an English class.
We were, sometimes the universe is kind and like with this I'll depart, but we were teaching prototypes and how messy they can be. And at the time, Mike was working on a project and brought like a really early advanced copy of Holy from Floodgate.
And juxtapose that with my Avengers Batman prototype that had index cards folded up with tape and stick figures.
So we were looking at like different style of prototypes, and one of the Fulbright scholars who was in the room that day, that week, that month, he was there a long time. Observing was from India, and I'm getting ready to introduce the prototype to Holy, and what's that dude's name? Bala. And so I'm like, you know what, Bala, would you be willing to talk a little bit about this? And this like motherfucker steps up,
talking about the whole culture. He was like, you could see him antsy, like this is a game about my culture, and you could see him like he's just excited about it. And Keith's like, why don't you do it?
And
why
then
don't you do it?
Like at the end, like he raps and it was super clean and like really powerful and everything. And everybody's like big tee and smiles and like applause and all of it. And at the end, like we're having a conversation, the three of us, and this dude's got like tears in his eyes. He's like, I never thought I would see my culture represented in an American classroom. And it was like, for you and me, it was just a day at the office.
Mm-hmm.
But like the whole world came together there, right? Like Minnesota from Floodgate, and this dude actually from India, and you and me from fucking bumfuck New York, and like a bunch of idiots whose parents fucked on the same night. Like it's unreal. And then this beautiful moment, just like
probably the same year, probably not the same night.
It's the same night. It's across the board. Everyone knows that. You not read a book?
No, apparently I didn't go to class because I didn't have full board games.
No, clearly. Yeah. So anyway, but like that for me, that's the thing, man. And it's like, I know in the game industry, it's fun to like do a lot of there's a lot of things that are fun. It's fun to rag on the stuff that's not that great, and it's fun to like isolate ourselves into the silos of our superiority and to feel like this kind of gamer is this and that kind of gamer is that, and the person who's playing Twilight Imperium for 400 hours is somehow a fucking wizard. And maybe they are, maybe they fucking are, I don't know, right? Like all of it in this humble person's overwhelmed experience in 2 years of gaming. Do all of it, do it more often, and do it with more compassion, because when that happens, that's when this industry is at its best. And that's why I love being a part of it, and I love writing for it, and I love designing for it, and I love coming on and doing shows like this, because this feels like the whole point.
Wow. Nice. Well, that sounds like a great way to wrap up the episode.
Yeah, that was good. Do more of it. That whole thing, that was good.
Good thing we recorded that.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, I'm going to go update my resume. See you guys later.
Well, thanks again, Keith, for coming on board. Thanks both of you for talking about what you do and everything you do in games and education. Anything else that you want to add? And also if links need to be added to the descriptions, things like that. How do people find out more? Any of that?
I feel like for Mike, you probably know on account of like whatever, he's like the co-founder of the show. For me, it's an exciting year that's ahead, and a lot of the stuff I just have to keep under lock and key because you know how contracts work. But I have a sneaking suspicion in 2023 it's going to be a fun year, and I look forward to coming back and seeing you in that year when we have a lot more specific content to talk about and things that I'm at liberty to say. And for right now, I'm just bound, and I'm going to go get behind my computer screen and start writing some more words. And I can't wait to deliver them to you. And I hope it works.
all over a Batman game.
Yeah, right on.
Everything that's coming is all over a fucking Batman game.
Yeah, that's super true.
Nice.
Yeah.
One experience that was like, wait a minute, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Michael, and Katia. Thank you for letting me like sit in your seat tonight. I really I appreciate that. Cheers.
Yeah. Next week, I won't be here, but hopefully Katia will be back. Mike, you guys are gonna do what you do best without me. So the most important ingredients of 42 will be there, and everybody should show up and watch.
Yeah. I not as active in the chat because it's farther away and it's very tiny. But as always, thank you guys for being there every week.
And just to answer the questions in the text, Matt, it was great to see you. And I'm sorry I can't see you back, but you look beautiful and everyone's super proud. And then also on the late night writing, I don't know. I've heard things about sleep. I love the reviews. I hope one day to have it.
Overrated.
Oh, maybe you could go get some. All right, we're gonna end it here.
I be closer to the screen because it's really tiny writing for me. Anyway, it's really tiny. I'm farther back.
You know
than
what
normal.
That fucking means?
I need glasses.
All right, fucker.
All right.
Oh man.
Yeah. On a personal note, though, it's been 2 years, Chris. It's been a hell of a ride. Can't believe that we're here at this point after 2 years, and it's great seeing everybody. Hey, Phil. It's great seeing everybody. This thing grow over the past 2 years of this. Every Monday is it's something fun. I know Andrew's talked about it too. Like Monday has become a great night of the week, often shat on, but I look forward to it for reasons like this. It's been amazing to be at this point 2 years ago. Like no way. Like to know all of these people and to be able to reach out and talk to any one of them at any point and to call them friends has been. It's been amazing. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thanks for taking the chance on doing a weekly show about basically everything.
Geek stuff.
Yeah.
How I say every episode. Yeah, it's been fun. And 2 more years. At least.
Many more years.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, no, you got 2 more.
I only have 2?
You only have 2 more. Make them count.
Oh, good. Mark it. 2 years. I'm done.
All right, so yeah, I don't know.
So I need an apprentice.
Yeah, you better start trying.
And there's only 2, so we're good.
All right, cool.
Yep. Plan ahead. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, guys.